Nosson Zand, 2017.
I'm so different, I'm so different. Grew up with the Walking Dead, but now we living. I'm so different, I'm so different. Soon as I step on stage, they be like, yo, he different. What do you want, what you need, what you scheming for? When you look back at everything, tell me, dímelo. Do you believe like I believe in more? I thank God for all I see, I can't leave it alone. Magazine, packaging, rap so clean, track on me. All night, calm before the storm, but the storm right here. I can hold it in my palm like cold bars, what I do for the Klondike. I'ma take over the game, over the dosage of fame. Y'all should move over a lane. The message so deep it go over your brain. Like a drive-by in your mind's eye, watching the time fly. Do or die like I'ma put this face in the limelight. You know, time to bring it back on track. Money to my brother, put a rack on that. We don't fear none, put it in the air like a flare gun. Where the real rappers at? Time for a change, making it like I came with the flame. Letting it fade, what you can say, more of the same. I'm so different, I'm so different. Grew up with the Walking Dead, but now we living. I'm so different, I'm so different. Soon as I step on stage, they be like, yo, he different. What do you want, what you need, what you scheming for? When you look back at everything, tell me, dímelo. Do you believe like I believe in more? I thank God for all I see, I can't leave it alone. Hold up, turn the music up, drowning out the pain. I need to feel the bass inside my chest, so let it bang. Following the words of a visionary, from a lost soul to a dignitary. Boston bred, but now I'm in Miami. Till I win the Grammy. I've been working overtime, eyes on the clock. Blue label flow, I'm tired of all the private stock. I lost a lot of friends, I feel like only God can stop me. I'm feeling so original, ain't no carbon copy. Everyone around is out of rap, then they gone. Only some get in, but I'm glad that we all put rhymes in the song like gas in the car. Cargo father, cause I mastered the art. Way past where the bar was set. Spiritual, we all forget to put ego aside and we all in debt. We give God the best, and I'm only so strong even when I do my best. I'm so different, I'm so different. Soon as I with the Walking Dead, but now we living. I'm so different, I'm so different. Soon as I step on stage, they be like, yo, he different. What do you want, what you need, what you scheming for? When you look back at everything, tell me, dímelo. Do you believe like I believe in more? I thank God for all I see, I can't leave it alone.
My name's Chana Wold. I'd like to introduce Nosson Zand. Nosson, what's up? What's happening?
How are you?
So, if you all are just chiming in now, that was the first hit called...
I'm so different.
Dude, you don't look different. You fit into Crown Heights.
So it would seem, so it would seem.
So it seems. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what your upbringing was like.
So I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and went to public schools, went to college, got involved in a more spiritual discussion, so to speak, later on in France after college, by a bunch of Lubavitchers in France. And came back and my parents thought I got brainwashed. I wouldn't eat my mother's food, and it was like...
So like the typical Baal Teshuva story,
yeah, like
except...
spitting at churches, you know, all that.
Oh, spitting in churches?
I'm just kidding. I was told that that was optional by Hansi Morazov. I saw his kids spit and I was like, whoa, these kids are fiery, like, what's going on here? He was like, well, it actually says in Halacha you should cross the street, but the spitting's optional. So just teasing. But yeah, it was a very fire-fueled start.
Fire-fueled, I like that. And what's with the music? Was that also in public school you started rapping, or how'd you?
Yeah, I started rapping when I was about 13, 14 years old.
out of my group of friends, I was pretty much the only white kid, let alone Jewish.
This is in Maryland. Where do you grow?
In Boston.
Oh, Boston. Okay.
And yeah, I did music for a long time. At like 17 years old, I had my first show at the House of Blues in Boston. Then when I went to France later on and started becoming more spiritually inclined, I heard about this concept that you're not supposed to just throw away what you were good at in your previously not so spiritual life. You're supposed to convert it for good. So that's what I've been doing ever since.
That's cool. And when you say spiritually inclined, you know, what does that mean to you?
Chassidus.
Chassidus. So
Sorry.
I'm guessing Chabad Chassidus.
Yes, ma'am.
And why Chabad over other types of Chassidus? What was it for you?
I went to a Sephardi Breslov yeshiva after my first experience at Morristown in New Jersey, a Chabad yeshiva, Tiferes. And that was a little much for me. I wouldn't really recommend it for a beginner. There are a lot of card-carrying Lubavitchers there. I was not that. I was still asking these existential questions like, how do we know God exists? And everyone else was busy like how to properly angle their menorah al pi halacha from the door.
Because that's so important to connecting to God, you know?
Listen, I happen to think it is, perhaps, but I wasn't.
You weren't there.
I wasn't at that place.
Yeah.
Now, like I'm on the phone with my rabbi. Is like 1 inch to the left? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So I basically what I was saying is I did explore different flavors of Yiddishkeit, if you will. I hung out with some Litvish people. But
can someone really hang out with a Litvish person? Come on. No, just kidding.
Ouch. Listen, some of my best friends are Litvish.
Same.
So basically when I was in this Breslov yeshiva, and it was like, they were serious about learning. It wasn't, you know, what some people have as a stereotype of like Nanach types or something, but it was a serious yeshiva. We were learning half days. That was the attraction to me. I was told, you know, if you come to this yeshiva, you can learn half days, take care of you. But I found myself, so to speak, going to Chabad every Shabbos. I never actually davened with that yeshiva on Shabbos, and I would go to Rabbi Sperlin and Rabbi Raskin in Montreal.
And I hear that Matisyahu was one of your greatest influences. Do you want to just explain that?
Yeah, but first I want to get to the punchline.
Oh, okay.
So I said to this Rabbi Sperlin that I felt that on a personality level, I felt that I connected with Chabad and the philosophy and the characters that I met within Lubavitch the most. And I said, however, I feel like there's too much to do. Like I'm not the man for the job. There's too much to do and too much to not do. Meaning mitzvahs where you're supposed to run towards them and the type of mitzvahs where you're supposed to run away from something. And he looked at me and he's like, so you'll be a Lubavitcher who does some Averas. And for me, that quote has resonated with me until now and will forever resonate with me because it's not an all or nothing type of deal, and a lot of people get caught up in that. So yeah, Matisyahu.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine for many, many years. We toured together. We lived on like a tour bus and an RV together, toured North America a couple different years in a row, and I did a bunch of concerts with him ever since then.
That's cool. So his style of bringing reggae, rap to the Jewish scene is something that you were inspired by?
Sure, but that wasn't my musical inspiration. I thought I was the only, first of all, when I was in France and started becoming frum, I thought I was the only person to ever become frum from the US. I thought it was a bunch of weird French people who did this, and I'd never met someone who became more observant, who like stepped their observance up a notch or several notches in America. I'd never encountered that. So I thought I was on this like unique journey, which I guess to an extent I was. But yeah, basically, I thought that I invented this like more Jewish, Hasidically influenced music that's typically been black music. But then someone sent me, actually while I was in France, they were like, yo, there's this dude who does reggae, like kind of on a similar wavelength. So when eventually I met Marisyahu and he invited me on tour, and there was, even with like completely secular reggae and rap music, there's always been a lot of collaborating because they both kind of go well with one another.
Yeah, on that note, like some of the Hasidic, things that we learn kind of do correlate to the rap style in terms of the authenticity, the spark, the inspiration of the soul, and I think your lyrics actually mirror that. Are there any lyrics in your song that come from Hasidic ideas that you think you want to share?
A lot of them. I guess since the name of this show is OTD, I have a song called So Long, where it's like, I've been gone for so long to my world, at least the one I came to love, but I don't know if love's the word, and I don't know what it feels like to stand on my own too. It was so hard to do, but now I've come back home to you. So what that really is speaking about is like, life is kind of like a cardiogram. It's like this series of peaks and valleys, and I think there's beauty in that. Sometimes people are frustrated that it's not just this straight line, but ask any cardiologist what a straight line means, to borrow a story from Simon Jacobson, Rabbi Jacobson. So within those peaks and valleys, when you get back to a peak after experiencing a valley, to me that's like coming home. And when I say peak, I mean like a spiritual peak and a certain conscientiousness of godliness and doing the right thing and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that speaks to a lot of us today who, like you said, are going up and down in our spiritual journey. And like you said, our show is called OTD. You're on, you're off. Sometimes you're just open to whatever comes. And I think your music actually really speaks to that target audience of people who, they want the secular, they want the Jewish, they want the spiritual. They're not sure, and they're just going along the wave. So I like that about you. I think we're ready for your next song. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
And you want to introduce your song a little bit, or?
So I think a good segue would be this song called One and the Same. It was actually inspired by the journey that I've had with my rabbi basically being by my side throughout all of it. And I've had quite a few peaks and quite a few valleys. And like a good shliach of the Rebbe, he was, there with me and said, wherever you go, I'm with you. Wherever you go, I'm with you. Wherever I go, you're with me. And it's this real partnership, this brotherhood, not just some doctrinaire like rabbi preaching from on high type of relationship. And this song was inspired by that.
Okay, and I just want to say that maybe you could end with a message to a lot of our viewers who just are struggling to find themselves. A lot of them grew up in Hasidic homes and left and want that connection to God, but yet don't want it the way they were taught, So
Which way am I looking? Am I looking there or over here?
You can look wherever. There's a bunch of different cameras. But I guess what you're saying is that the concept of a Rebbe, which we're actually celebrating today, which is Chai Elul. I don't know what it is. Maybe you could share with us what Chai Elul is. There's
two very key characters, for lack of a more respectful word, involved in the Chai Elul. One is the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. So it's a perfect day for a Lubavitcher because, it's not perfect if Mashiach's not here, but It's perfect in the sense that we have the founder and then kind of our founder is a package deal in one day. So I guess my message to people struggling, because if you're not struggling, I don't really know if you're...
If you're not struggling, you're not alive.
If you're a human being, right?
Yeah.
So I work for the Jewish Recovery Center, and we have a lot of people coming down to Southern Florida for rehab, for all sorts of trauma, all sorts of addiction, substance abuse, alcoholism. And I work for Mayor Kessler, who's the director of it. And basically, we have hundreds and hundreds of people coming for help from all sorts of Hasidic neighborhoods and Litvish and everyone in between. And the case after case, we're talking about people who have experienced the struggle that we all experience and turned to the wrong ways of coping and soothing throughout that tumultuous journey. So if you feel like the world's on your shoulders and you're going through a very difficult journey, welcome to life, because we all are. It's just,
welcome.
For me, it's really about, are you able to navigate those choppy waters like a mensch and not just throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to spirituality, and not just throw your parents under the bus when it comes to your relationship with them, because all of our parents are flawed, all of our relationships are flawed, we're flawed, so you wouldn't throw yourself under the bus, or if you do, we also have programs for that. So ultimately, my word of advice would be, find a good friend who has good advice. We say it sometimes, I don't know, it's like a bunch of times during morning brachas, to stay away from an evil friend or something like that. Not to speak in such black and white terms, but it's very crucial to be around a good support network, especially when we're talking about being a Jew in a Gallistic world.
Wow. Who would have thought that you have all these, diverse experiences? So what was that organization called? It's called?
The Jewish Recovery Center.
Okay.
That's not a shameless plug. It's really more, I don't have like stock in the company. I have more spiritual stock in the organization, in that there's an epidemic. People are dropping dead. People are just kind of trucking along in monotony and mediocrity. And there's a better life for all of us who are struggling. And I was once one of those people who struggled and didn't know the right tools to deal with that journey. And now, Baruch Hashem, I have a little bit of a better idea about what a person needs in their toolbox to keep on moving in the right direction. Okay.
I want to have you sing, but I just want to, what's in your toolbox? What are your tools? You talked about having a concept of a Rebbe or a Mashpia, someone to influence you or guide you, a good friend even.
Yeah.
What else? I guess music, right? Would you say music is your toolbox? Is in your toolbox?
Absolutely. Music is therapy, but also regular old therapy is in my toolbox. I actually had the first day of classes today at a master's program at Hunter for social work. And therapy, I think if people have like issues that they don't want to talk to anyone else about, or they want to talk to someone who really understands from a clinical perspective the repercussions from certain types of trauma or issues that they've faced or are influenced by, they should do it. And they should do it with a professional behind closed doors and really hash things out and try to figure out their own ecosystem within themselves. What happens when it starts to snow? What happens when it starts to rain within you? What do? What's your umbrella? And my toolbox is different from the next person's toolbox. But again, I think the key factor is having smart, helpful, thoughtful friends who are on the right track to kind of call you out when you're not, to hold you accountable when you're not living up to what you know you should be doing and what they know you're capable of doing. Yeah, so I think that speaks to every one of us. Look around. Are your friends people who you want to hang out with? Or do they have similar goals to where you want to go?
do they have lives that you want to emulate? So thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
And take us to your world of tools.
The way you look into my eyes, I know it's gonna be okay. Yeah. The day you took me by surprise and told me you could feel my pain. Yeah. That time I ran outside, I couldn't run away. You told me while I cried that we could never separate. No matter where I go, you'll always be with me. My passion in the cold, my song that I believe. It's time I hit the road, but I don't wanna leave. No matter where we go, we're one and the same. It's dark before the dawn. At least that's what they say. Yes, my heart's forever torn. There's got to be another way. That time I ran outside, I couldn't run away. You told me while I cried that we could never separate. No matter where I go, you'll always be with me. My passion in the cold, my song that I believe. It's time I hit the road, but I don't wanna leave. No matter where we go, we're one and the same. Yeah, you're never alone. I know the world seems big, like you don't matter at all. I'm in the bright light in the back of the hallway, in the right fight, bring it back to my calling. It's the truth, ain't no telling when the road gon' lead us all. But there ain't no limit, so low. Bro, if you think so, tell him I'ma let him know. Yeah, I'ma let him know. Let it go, set it go. Shout to my Seminoles, set it show. Y'all are artificial sounding chemical, natural. Y'all are artificial sounding chemical. Breaking out of prison got me feeling like a criminal. Now I'm feeling so free of the weight of the world bearing down on me. Growing up, they always told me what you wanna be, so I did it. You know I feel the fire, cause you lit it. Let's go. Hey. No matter where I go, you'll always be with me. My passion in the cold, my song that I believe. It's time I hit the road, but I don't wanna leave. No matter where we go, we're one and the same. No matter where I go, you'll always be with me. My passion in the cold, my song that I believe. It's time I hit the road, but I don't wanna leave. No matter where we go, we're one and the same.
Next, we have a different kind of voice that he's bringing to the Jewish scene. I want to welcome Deitsch. Alter, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Alter and I, this past Shabbat, we went camping. We had a great time. It was called the Shabbos Party. It was with a shul from Crown Heights called Avas Yisrael, hence the bracelet. Cha-ching. Yeah, what's your experience with camping?
We went when we were children. My father took us, and we built a fire, and we roasted marshmallows, and we thought we had discovered America. It was like the outdoors, and then there was a bear in the morning. Everybody was freaking out, and that was great. And then it never happened again, and it was like, oh, where'd that go? And then many years later, there's a camp called Yeshiva Outdoor Adventure, YOA, ran by Rabbi Michal Harari. Amazing program, amazing. hiking 4 days in the wilderness with whatever you have on your back, that's it. Making Shabbos out in a wilderness, and you gotta make your area. Then you have to, find a weatherproof place for your Torah, and you gotta find food on the fly. And it was amazing because we live in these cities, these square. I was thinking one night, I'm in my rectangular bed, in my rectangular room, in my rectangular house, in my rectangular block, in my grid city, and I was freaking out. And then you go out to the wild, and it's curvy and circular and jagged and sharp and edgy, and it's amazing. It's alive, it's vibrant. So that was huge for me to experience that, to get back in touch with that. Also, when you're out there, there's a certain level of responsibility over yourself and your surrounding that you need. Leave no trace, don't make a mess where you go, don't break plants arbitrarily. I mean, there's a Hasidic story about it. The Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe are walking, and they're talking, and absent-mindedly, the Frierdiker Rebbe pulls off a leaf, and he's playing with it, and the Rebbe Rashab said, that was alive, And if you have a use, take it, we are the curators of this world, take it, go ahead. But to arbitrate, so when you're out in nature, you really get cognizant of that. So that was great for me. And I was a counselor there. I saw what it did to the boys, the level of responsibility, of maturity, that it stepped them up. So that was camping. That was like what opened my door to that whole great outdoors. And it's been a fantastic journey.
Yeah, I think Yeshiva Bachram need to learn something about responsibility these days. What do you say?
You know what? There's so many amazing guys, amazing, wonderful, but the entire process is sort of taking away your voice and your individuality and your decision making and saying, oh, you don't think, this is what you do. And as much as possible, I've been a teacher for many years, as much as possible, I try to empower them. That's my main objective, is that you are a human being, you have dignity, and as such you have a gift and a power, and therefore there's all these amazing things that we could learn and do together to sharpen and hone and gain. So I think they can use a healthy dose of responsibility, but it's not their fault, it's available, and I wish that they'll experience it. Yeah.
So your approach to chinuch is let the person learn to express themselves, find their jagged edges, their curves, and let that be a part of their personal story. Absolutely.
I also believe that you can't give absolute choice to a child, their children, there needs to be structure and guidance, but it's called scaffolding, where you are you go up a little higher than where they're at, something within their reach, something just a little outside of the reach, that they could get it, but they'd have to push, and you're there on the outside. A scaffolding is there to support. It's not the structure of the building. The kid is the structure.
Right.
And he's going to do it. I'm there to say, this is where we're going. This is how you get there. Sure, we need educators. It's not a free-for-all. There's discipline.
So for all those who don't know Alter is the founder of the Sababa movement, I want to call it.
Very co-founder, very much co-founder.
Co-founder, yeah. Sababa festival that happens once a year. So far, and I think it comes from your ideas of chinuch, of people learning to find themselves through nature, through self-expression. Do you want to tell everyone what Sababa is? Sure. And what that process was to you?
Absolutely. Sababa was like all these roads that intersected, where I felt in my life that my Yiddishkeit personally, the one that I experienced growing up, was a little stale, a little dry.
You grew up Chabad?
I'm from here, I'm from Crown Heights.
See, isn't that interesting? Nosson was taken by Chabad, but here's a Chabadster, and he also had his own struggles, finding out where he fit into the Jewish world. I love that.
It's very interesting, because Chabad has a double standard, which I preach double standard all the time.
Right.
That for ourselves, for myself, in my life, I hold myself here. And I try to encourage people. But when somebody acts here, I find understanding and compassion. So Chabad as a organization does the same concept, where our people need to be this. And if we find somebody who wasn't brought up, so we have compassion, I understand. So we find ways of inspiring. But for us, it was very, this is the way, what are you doing, how come, It was a little too, this is it and you're wrong if you don't agree. So it was a little disheartening and disillusioning. But I want it. I really want it. A lot of friends of mine experienced that and went away. Some experienced it, were too weak to fight, so they bought in. There are some that are taka turned on, and I love that. I'm not knocking the entirety of it. I was in 770 this morning, and the place is packed of true learners and daveners. It's vibrant.
For all those people who don't know, Elul Tishrei is a time where people from all over the world come into Crown Heights, where we are now, and experience 770, which is a very enlivening experience of davening and singing and nigunim. So that's nice. So you still keep your 770 card.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that topic of all the guests coming, there's suitcases everywhere now, and there's like food. They need food, or this guy doesn't have a place to stay. There's a guy sleeping in the back bench. Like it's such a raw, happening energy. I love it. There's two guys bringing in the corner, two guys striking a business deal in the corner. There's a minyan, every kind of minyan happening at the same time. It's 770, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. But what we were handed was a little dry and dogmatic and azoi tutman. Like, this is what we do. Azoi tutman. Why? Azoi tutman. And that to me, you know, it's like to just that. This is
I love
how
how
it
he
is.
like gets into like the emotion. I love how you're so like, wow.
So I personally want to experience in my own life a reigniting of that flame. And as much as possible, I try to get into discussions about this, foster weekends where we'll daven, where we'll sing the davening, Friday night davening at most of these events that we do, because Sababa is amazing, and it's like the foundation stone, but there are multiple weekends that we do like this. Shabbos parties included in that.
Right.
And how is Friday night davening? It's amazing. You don't have a show anywhere in Brooklyn doing that. It doesn't exist. Everybody's singing and dancing, and it's real, and there's somebody says a vartim in the middle that like inspires, and everybody's like, oh, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So that's what I try to do in one shlav. Then on another side, I love music. I love art of any form. You know, when people draw, when people dance, when people sing, when people build, when people, anything.
When people build.
Yeah, building is you know,
Yeah.
we have a guy.
Well, actually, on that topic, I saw a picture on Facebook about you creating like an Aron Kodesh. Is that true?
I love to build, you know. And
So for all those who don't know, Alter handcrafted, could you say?
Yes,
His
yes.
own Aron HaKodesh where is it now?
it's
like,
in the Shul Lounge. That's Shul Lounge in New Haven. It's the Shul Lounge.
okay, check it out.
Yeah, New Haven, Connecticut. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick break.
פוגש בי יום קשה ולא נראה שיש סיכוי לעבור אני קופץ ואז נותן חזק את הגז ולא לוחץ את הברקסים בשום רמזור כי אם אני נושם הכל ברוך השם אני רוקד לי ושר והשתבח שמו נתן לי אחלה יום לא מתלונן על דבר כל מה שבא, אני עובר ברוך הבא אז תמיד בא לי מה שבא כל מה שבא, אני שר לי לה 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 זה יהיה הרהט הבא מה שבא, סבבה מה שבא כל מה שבא, סבבה נראה מה שבא, אני עובר ברוך הבא אז תמיד בא לי מה שבא כל מה שבא, אני שר לי לה 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 זה יהיה הרהט הבא מה שבא, סבבה מה שבא כל מה שבא, סבבה נראה
TV Show. I'm Chana Wold. I'm here with Alter Deitsch. Thank you so much for coming, Alter.
Back to Shia.
We just listened to Nosson and Zand earlier in the show, and we just heard from DJ Shia. Yeah. Anyway, so we have a live show going on now, and we actually have questions from people in our crowd, who we have about 10 people here. And one of the questions for you is, how do you describe your relationship to God, to Hashem?
Fantastic. I would describe it as intimate and dynamic because it's constantly ongoing, and I try to regularly check in, and what I've been trying to do recently is trying to check in within the road and within the path that Judaism lays out. Meaning, I myself have been having conversations with God and things that mattered to me, when they mattered to me, how they mattered to me. Like it was my journey, and I brought God into it because He was always there. And now I try to see. And it's amazing because it's such an irony. Now I'm trying to find God in Judaism. In the Judaism that we were handed, you wash in the morning and you say Maidani in the morning and you say the brachas. So it was always done by rote by me personally. It was, all right, Zaytutman, fine, do it. And now I'm finding God in Judaism, and it's amazing. Like this hippie comes over to me and they're like, just change your life. If you would just wake up in the morning with gratitude. I'm like, wow, we've been doing this for 3,000 years. But it's like when you hear people talk about some of these things, and it comes from other influences, and you'll hear some mega guru on YouTube say something like that, and things start falling into place, and you're like, wait a minute, I have this. I've always had this. So my relationship with God has always been pretty good. I mean, there were moments where I, questioned the whole thing, and I still can, but
you still can. I like that.
Yeah.
Like it's safe. It's okay to question and still be Alter Deitsch.
Yeah. I feel like if it's never crossed your mind that maybe this was made up, if that thought has never crossed your mind, then you're not really thinking. So that's what I believe, and I do believe that there's a flow behind this, and there's a godly hand running the whole thing. And what's cool for me is to see how the world is kind of shaping into that right now, where there's scientifically they're talking about intelligent design, and when you get down at a quantum level that we are the ones that create our reality, and this is all because of our godly spark. And it gets really fun and trippy, and everybody in the world is getting in touch with a Mashiach kind of energy. They're calling it a shift. It's called a shift. I was at this event that they called it the shift, and they're just talking about how there's a shift in consciousness. So people are trying to be more open and sharing and giving and kind, and there's no more zero-sum game. If we all have, then we all have more. And I'm like, yeah, Mashiach, this is great.
You're like, I have a language for this.
It's really cool to see when that happens, because
Right.
Our thing is awesome. Judaism has an answer to all things. I'm rediscovering that now. I'm trying to find my God within my Judaism, and it's been a fun journey.
And I like that you say my God, right? Because my God is different from your God.
I believe it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
So back to the camping trip. So he is the founder of the Sababa festival that happens once a year, has music. How many people did you have this year?
This past year we had 500.
500 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're intense. I don't know. They're sprawled out. And what's the goal of camping for people?
Okay, so just before I go on, I would want to shout out my co-partner, Mendel Sherman. He actually is the founder, and he brought me on to the project, and thank you. That was amazing. It opened my world more, which is fantastic. Thank you.
And just for you to see, Alter didn't have this camping thing, and he kind of created it. He created a channel for himself to be, I guess you could say a shliach of Hashem, to include other people in Shabbos experiences that are positive. And I love that you found something that is particular to you. The same thing. This show is, my passion project. It's important as Jews to find passion projects to help us connect to God and bring other people, involved.
Absolutely.
So, Yeah, so.
I just want to follow up on that because
yeah.
that's amazing because like God doesn't create redundancies. Every person brings their song, their note to the orchestra. And if you're living what they said, if you're doing the they say, then you're denying your song, your part. If you find your part within the they say, within the confines, there's a lot of room for personality.
Right.
If you find that, that's where it gets
Yeah,
beautiful.
I think people get stuck in, and how do I find my calling, my own shlichus in this world? Why am I here? And that's when they start having doubts in God because they're like, well, I don't have anything cool going on, so let me imitate them or let me try to do that. Yeah.
Could be a thing.
So let's talk about camping trips.
Yeah, totally.
We have some controversial ideas about camping trips. So camping trips usually includes mixed genders, male and feminine and female. And a lot of people feel, this is what some of my friends have been telling me, that camping trips, as much as they bring people together, they also kind of let the boundaries go loose, and you know, the initial kavanah of it all actually doesn't really happen. What do you think about that?
So I will say that I am not closed to any ideas, meaning I've thought about that, and I don't think that we have enough data yet. I believe it's possible. And we were discussing this on Shabbos. I believe it's possible that what we're doing here can be amazing, the best kind of amazing that we haven't seen yet, but I think it could potentially, if not guided properly, it could lead down a wrong road. I do believe that.
I mean, almost every weekend this summer there was camping trips, not just you leading them, other camping trips going on. And, you know, it almost becomes, as a single person, you're like part of this community, and it's like awesome because you find like-minded people. And then it's like, well, where am I going with this community? Am I just staying here, or am I, you know, taking steps towards whatever that is? So I think that's a real issue that a lot of people are struggling with. You know, as much as it opens up to new people, new surroundings, nature, love, you know, at what point do we say, am I moving on in life?
So just
you
the
know?
pros and cons of this,
Yeah.
essentially, is the pros. I've seen all the different kreisen, all the different communities who would never speak to each other, who would never meet each other, who have stigmas of who they are, stereotypes. That all disappeared. People are together. This one brings his style food and his cholent and his kegel, and this one has his bobby. Everybody brings their thing, and now you meet friends that you would have never have met, and people are dating people that they would have never dated, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. And then, like I was describing with the boys in Yeshiva Outdoor Adventure, the level of responsibility that I've seen, because most of these people are city people. And they come and they don't, they roll on the grass and it ruins the grass, and then they leave their cigarette butts and But as this has evolved, I've seen the level of responsibility max. People come, if I'm bringing food, I'm not just gonna bring my food, I'm gonna bring food. And that's a Jewish concept. When it says that people go to Oila Regel for the base of Mikdash, Kol Mediv Lev, you come with what's in you come with things in your hand to share for everyone. Everyone is going to be better. I'm here. It's not just me. We're communal, and I'm here for you. So that's the pros. There are many more.
Well, I actually like that because a lot of singles, they get stuck in their little rectangular room, you know, house, home, and they're not, you know, I'll just talk for me personally. Once I come out to community, it's like, wow, I can give, I can be a part of this, and you know, all of a sudden I'm in a relationship with other people that I may not have had if I just stayed in my room.
Absolutely.
You know, I really like that idea.
Absolutely. To the cons, though.
Oh, to the cons.
There needs to be, you know, in all fairness to all the naysayers, because, you know, there is what to be cautious about with over here. I will also say that the naysayers should open up their minds and come and experience it, but I do believe that we saw this happen in the Upper West Side. This is what we were discussing, how in the Upper West Side, people were cool, and they were fun, and they were single, and they were having a good time, and it was so good, and it was a whole scene, and now they're all 40 and single. Because what kind of happens is you parve out.
Yeah.
You parve out. Instead of a man being a man and a woman being a woman, we're all cool, we're all friends, you know? And nobody wants to ruin the dynamic, so if I ask her out and then it doesn't work out, and now it's gonna be awkward, now nobody can hang, so let's just be friends, and it gets very parve. And even if there are relationships and male dominance or female energies or whatever, even if that happens, it's still, the overlying current is we're friends and we're cool.
Right.
And nothing happens from that.
Yeah, I think that part of, attracting your right shidduch, from my experience, whatever, not much experience, but is the yearning, the prayer, or I want to find that right person. And when you lower the playing field and you say, you want to yearn? Here he is, or here she is, just to hang out, right? Your mind kind of switches from, okay, she's here, it's easy. No responsibility. Even though you think it's responsibility because it's camping, it's long-term, not so much.
So in that regard, yes, that's like when there's nothing around you and you have like a passion and
Yes.
a drive, that's amazing. But then from another side is that when you had no, I guess it's the same side, you have no other outlet. When you follow the system, there are men in their corners, there are women in their corners, and every guy wants a girl and every girl wants a guy, and you will do what you have to. That's shidduch, dating, fine. I met someone, married, we have it, go. But if you can get your fix, and you can say, oh, so I was hanging out with these cute girls and we had a good time, and yeah. So it lowers your need. It lowers your need, and the Rebbe talks about it in a lot of his letters when he talks about, in pursuit of a shidduch. You need to be searching for it like a lost object. If you lost your diamond ring and you're looking around the house and you're like, where's my ring? That's how you got to look for a shidduch. And if you're surrounded by a good time, it is a concern of mine with these events that I believe it's so much fun. And it's it's amazing. I have a great time. It's so much fun. And there's so much exciting things, but that could potentially lower our need and drive.
I mean, just to the opposite, when you're hanging out with good vibes, good people, your level of emunah is also raised, you know? And you could feel
side,
like,
there are
wow,
pros.
you just feel like, the law of attraction, whatever we were talking about before, you're able to attract who you want, so you have to know yourself personally. I want to just change the conversation to the camping trip, which unfortunately didn't work out, to be what it was supposed to be, ideally, in an ideal world, or in a more legal world, I should say. So Alter is the hero of the summer, right? For all of you, COL Live, all the major newspapers had this guy's face as the hero of the camping trip. What did he do? Tell us.
Okay, sure. I'm blushing, first of all, internally, if not externally. But essentially, there was confusion surrounding the camping trip for years now. And Ian knew it, and they were in legal system, and they were involved in courts. And I had an uneasy feeling towards it. From the get-go. But I love this whole movement of the camping trips and the things, and I try to go, and I like bringing an energy to it. So I was going to go, me and my friends, we were ready to go. And then Friday morning, when the Yeshiva World dropped that article that there are cops on the road, nobody's let in.
I feel like it was all of us, even if you weren't going to go, everyone remembers that moment of reading that article, of being like, what the heck? Hundreds of people were on their way to this camping trip. I don't want to talk Lashon Hara about it. I just want to hear your side of the story.
So everybody felt the rug jerk out from under their feet. And our cars are packed. I was literally like 20 minutes from leaving.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's cars are packed. They had plans. They're going to meet that other friend. Some people flew in. Some people got hotels. Like there's a lot of, And what do? So I'm in this scene. I do these camping trips all the time. There's WhatsApp groups, there's things. So I got hit up by 50 different people.
Wow.
What are we doing? What's the plan? So I knew of a guy who has a land, and I Googled it. It's 20 minutes away. That was a bracha. That was like, Hashem was like, we have a spot 20 minutes down the road, 120 acres. You're fine. So I call him. I'm like, hey, Reb Baruch. His name is Baruch Patapowski.
Shout out.
Shout out. Thank you to Reb Baruch. So I give him a call, and I say, hey, there are 300, 400, 500 people that need. No, you know what? I kind of dressed the truth a little bit. I was like, 50 people.
Oh.
Because I didn't know, first of all. I didn't know what it would be.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know what it would be.
Put on Sababa, you knew.
But I told him we're going to have 50 people that are going to come. Can they use your land? And he was like, I'm in the middle of something. I can't talk right now. I'm like, I respect that, but I have like 500 people that need to know. Like, could you please tell? And he's like, look, call me in 3 hours. So everybody's like, what do we do? So I told all the people I was in touch with, and they're in touch with other people, head upstate. Head upstate. We're gonna go. Either the camping trip's
I feel
doors
like
will
this
open.
is like Yetziat Mitzrayim, and you're like with Salo. You're like, just jump in, guys, and the sea's gonna open.
One of my favorite characters in Chumash, by the way, Nosson and Aminadav.
Oh, Nosson, yes, not Salo.
I did. That's not what I was trying to do. I apologize.
The architect of the Beis Hamikdash. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Not the point of that. But he is one of my favorite characters, and we call our original Sababa goers, we call them the Nosson and Aminadavs. Because to just dive in, whatever.
Yeah.
But back to the camping trip. So I told whoever I was in contact with, head upstate. Either the camping trip will open up and it'll pan out. Because Ian the whole time was saying, guys, it's not true. Come, it's fine. I didn't think it was, but there was a potential that it was. And I knew I had a potential backup plan. And there are camping sites all over the place. Guys, head upstate. We'll figure it out. So everybody's in the car. And I start just looking into, because I know I'm going to need toilets. We're going to need garbage dumpsters. I'm going to need pallets of water.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is what time? What time was this?
So this is like 12 noon.
12 noon. Erev Shabbos.
Erev Shabbos. Yeah.
Wow.
But I knew what the alternatives would have been. And that wasn't acceptable.
Right.
And another one of my favorite sayings in Judaism ever is, ish, ish. If there's nobody that knows what's going on, try to figure it out. And I knew I had a plan, and I saw it work out. And you mentioned law of attraction and betachin. I'm a huge practicer, and just the way it works for me personally, I need to be able to visualize what I want and see the steps that it'll take. And if I feel that they are more or less attainable, then this is a done deal. It's going to happen.
So I love that. For all you people who don't know, who want to set a goal and don't know where to start, I love that. It's just visualize it, use your imagination when you're lying in bed or driving, and then, start embracing the goals that bring you to there. I love that.
Absolutely. And I mean, I could talk law of attraction and betachin for 7 hours. Like, we could go
Let's
on.
just talk betachin, law of attraction. We'll sweep
that
under the rug.
bechlal is a whole mega discussion as well. Are you using a Goyish tool with a Jewish content? Whatever. We're getting way sidetracked. there are threads within this conversation that we could go on indefinitely. But
it's like your second time that you
right. No, because there's just so much, all the muchness.
Yeah.
Which is just like my life. It's just I just go and do things. Oh, you called me. You're like, oh, you want to come?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
not talk about that.
It's good. I'm happy you did. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Anyway, we're heading upstate and we're organizing toilets and and I'm in touch with the organizers of the camping trip. I'm asking them, do you have toilets for me? Do you have food for me? Because I know them. We're all in the scene.
Right.
And
you're all in that camping trip scene,
Yeah,
that
it's a total scene. I mean, and now that we've been doing this, for a couple of years now, so there's the repeat characters, and then you build relationships, and we're taking it very far. We're gonna have like intercommunal meetups all throughout winter. The whole Crown Heights is gonna host the whole movement, and then Flatboat, whatever. Things are in the works. I'm talking a little too soon, or whatever, but like they're in the works. But we're heading up there. We're arranging things. And then it's like 3 p.m, and I call him because he said, give me 3 hours. I call him. He says, is it going to be handed back to me clean? I said, guarantee. I put my word on it.
Oh my gosh.
Says,
500 people. Yes, it'll be clean.
I can do it.
Funny.
You know why it'll be clean? And it goes back to what we were discussing about children. Whatever. But the idea is that there's 2 approaches to when you're running a festival. You could be like, go here, don't do this is a VIP, this is, restricted, this is, check-ins and no rules, but you need rules. I'm not knocking rules. We have rules in place, but that could be your emphasis. Or you could have like an empowerment emphasis, which instead of me cleaning up afterward, which would be a pain, I empowered everybody. Guys, you see how much fun we had here? Did you love this place, the gift we were given?
It's funny because I didn't go to the camping trip, but I saw a video that you put out right after the trip of you, with all the tents behind you saying, guys, we had such a great time, clean up. And I wanted to clean up. I wasn't even there.
You're going to drive in 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning this.
I missed it, yeah.
So my personal cleanup job at the end, because I didn't have a dumpster, there was 2 last minute. So they just made a pile, which was, but I had to figure out a dump truck and whatever. I got things, it was fine. I had to work, but I didn't have to go around picking up. The place was spotless. Because if you have belief in people and you encourage them and then you compliment them as they're going about it, you got to handle, there's a lot of psychology there. But
I feel like you're the next Tony Robbins altar. What do you say about that? Like the Jewish one.
I love what Tony does.
Yeah, people in the crowd like that idea.
I like what Tony does tremendously. I like more hands-on experiential things, like these weekends.
Like camping, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. And on these weekends, I hope to incorporate more and more of these, like, a guy who does breathing techniques that you could get in touch with your inner child, and somebody who does meditation, yoga, Kabbalah. So, I want it to get real. I want it to be real. So we'll get there. Hey, the camping trip. Yeah.
Alter, thank you so much. We're going to take one last break, and then we'll be back with Alter.
Hey, you're the king of the world. Hey, hey, you're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You don't need me to say, but I see it myself. You're the maker of the world, and really there ain't nothing else. The kingship, the throne, the ruler, alone. Searching for a truth in a world full of lies. Everybody here confusing, even though we all try. With effort, we effective, but without you, we reckless. Ain't nobody here to lead us now. So we're calling now, trying to bring you down. Show the whole world you won't leave us out, and if they ain't sure, you won't leave it down. When it comes like an eagle in the sky, you gon' shut it down before they really even try, yeah. So we all cry with our heads up high. We looking at the heavens for direction in our lives. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. What's it all worth if I don't say your name before the kings of the earth, like David? When I'm faced with the hatred from the nations, I thank you. Your glory is a light shining brighter than the sun, but I can't even see it, I just feel it in my gut. I'm a servant, please use me, take me and choose me. There ain't nothing greater in the world. When you're close, I wanna feel your love. I need you with me, I can't get enough. So when I'm falling, you can pick me up. We need you. I'm doing what I can so I can please you. If only we knew how much you love us, we would never, ever, ever leave you. Hey, you're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. Take my heart of stone, give me one of flesh. I can only start something, you can do the rest. Your majesty, your grandeur and splendor capture me. I'm so glad to be here in your presence. I only wanna serve you, I don't wanna hurt you. Take my heart of stone, give me one of flesh. I can only start something, you can do the rest. Your majesty, your grandeur and splendor capture me. I'm so glad to be here in your presence. I only wanna serve you, I don't wanna hurt you. Hey, you're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the one and only. You're the king of the world, eh, eh. You're the king of the world. You're the king of the world, eh, eh.
welcome back to the OTD Show, where you're on, off, or open to the journey, open to the derech. I'm Chana Wold. I'm here with Alter Deitsch, the hero of the summer. Camping trip, Sababa. What's next, Alter? Tell us good news.
There's a lot of really cool things in the works. A lot of really cool things. I don't know how comfortable I feel speaking. I'm going to give you just like some vague ideas just because I want to talk about it. But yeah, so one idea that I really want to see happen is, and we touched on it with the intercommunal happenings, that when we have Crown Heights, and there's so many people who are part of this whole movement, part of this scene, and they have been coming to these trips and they want to host their friends that they have met, and they could bring guys from Williamsburg, Lakewood, Five Towns, Upper West Side, whatever, non-denominational, all denominational. Most of us are from birth Ashkenazi Jews. You know, we're not as diverse as we like to think, but we put up these diverse walls and we're kind of pulling them apart a little bit. We're going to host, we're going to see, so that's going to go on all winter. That's really exciting.
That's awesome. Now I heard something about Tzitzi. You're starting a new brand clothing line. Is that true?
That's cool. I was in touch with other guys who had these ideas. Like I did a photo shoot for these guys called Shtetl. They are they're a company, a clothing line. They're trying to have like a vibe of like old Shtetl vibe that a hipster would be comfortable wearing. Cool. So, you know, we did a photo shoot. I just like all these things that are trying to make what we're doing that much more fun and engaging and exciting. So I love tie-dye tzitzis. I got these. We made them in Spas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, they're tons of fun.
Tie-dye tzitzis? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's like, when you go to these camping trips or whatever, it's hot outside. It could be 90 degrees. People are in their shorts. People get in a t-shirt. And tzitzis is cumbersome. And it falls by the wayside for a lot of people. But then having like a fun, expressive, cool, in touch with my roots, in touch with my, you know, a garment that could do all those things, I think it's great. And it's actually funny, like tzitzis, the purpose of tzitzis, there are multiple purposes, but like one of the main ideas is that the beged, tzitzis, the word, equals gematria equals 600, and then there are 5 knots and 8 strings, so that's 613. This reminds us of the mitzvahs, and we're surrounded by it. We're always encased in mitzvahs. Now I do them in tie-dye to remember that it's also supposed to be fun. We're supposed to enjoy this.
Love it.
Yeah, that's totally like and Mitzvah Hashem, we should make money off of it, but like this is more of like that. This has to exist.
So you're saying you're designing this new line of tzitzi.
Absolutely.
For kids or anyone who wants a little flavor.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of designs that we're playing with. I could show them to you, and if you could get it to your viewers, you know, we have a bunch of cool designs we're playing with. These are all mock-ups.
Is there a website or someplace?
No. This is all just
it's
in my brain.
It's just Alter. Just pick Alter's brain, and he'll just give you something cool. You know, it's funny. We had a question from our crowd of people. Not really, but whatever. Basically, they asked, you know, they really connect to how you describe your camping trip vibes for Shabbos, you know, the ruchnius in it was so powerful. When you come back to Crown Heights, I guess you wear colored tzitzis, but what else do you do to help you connect to those camping trip vibes and, you know, draw it in, you know?
Right. So first of all, I believe the way you do anything is the way you do everything. A good friend of mine taught me that. And if you've grown in these experiences and you've connected with davening once, you're liable to do it again. And if you've gained a certain element of responsibility, it carries with you. So that's first of all. There's been growth that's come with prejudices that have been knocked down. Amazing things. In addition to all that, there's an energy that I want to bring here that amongst my friends we've begun, and amongst, you know, my parents, within my family, just to have communications, really talk, to not like, how many times where you meet someone and you don't quite have a conversation, you could just throw the words at each other. Oh, how you doing? Baruch Hashem, also for your sister. Oh, thank you. Manachas. You know, it's a pre-scripted conversation.
For sure.
That,
like Baruch Hashem. Like, what does that mean?
Okay, so again, they have space.
PH.
All these things
I
exist.
want to know what's going on in your life and you're saying Baruch Hashem. How does that help me?
It is a cop-out. And you should thank God for Allah Tov and Allah Ra. You need to thank God for everything. And there's necessary, and it's amazing. But communicate, you know, have a conversation with somebody. You can say Baruch Hashem because XYZ, or Baruch Hashem even though XYZ. Like, you can have a conversation, and we ought to. So I bring that back with me, and it automatically, once you realize that you're actually here to communicate with a human being, as opposed to, you know, in New York it's difficult because everybody's competing for my space, and if I give him attention, then I'm not giving this one attention, and then if I stop and talk on Kingston Avenue, I'll never get where I'm going. And they're right, but we do that too much. Remember that we're here to connect. Remember that we're here to have a community and sing. And there's this thing that's been going on recently, the Niggin Riot. I haven't been because we've been doing all of our weekends, but where they have a jam on Kingston Avenue, music, Chassidish Nigun, nothing.
Yeah, we had the leader, Garari, on our show last week. So he made a Niggin Riot right here.
Yeah, and he's amazing. He's talented.
Unbelievable.
And it's not just his talent, it's his charisma to bring the people into, let's do this, let's do this, and it's been happening. So it's great.
I love it. I love what you're doing, Alter. I love your energy to the Jewish world. I want to wish you much hatzlacha. I have one question. So Dr. Shia, you didn't perform. You played, I don't know what you call DJ. Do you perform or you? So it's called performing. When DJs play, it's called performing. Okay, thank you. So he played a song, King of the World. Who was that by? By Nissim. Oh my gosh. So we had a question from our audience for you, Alter, about, it's Elul time. What thoughts, by the way, just a plug in for you, you have a Tanya class on your Facebook. It's a daily Tanya class. I love it. I also love the background. It's very colorful. It's totally your vibes. So tell us a little Torah to help us connect to the upcoming weeks.
Sure. I mean, this is the season. 'Tis like the season. Like, it's amazing. So it also ties into a lot of the camping trip concept, because the Alter Rebbe, who his yahrzeit is, his birthday.
Is happening.
His birthday is happening tonight. We're probably already in zone. So it's already the Alter Rebbe's birthday. Amazing.
The Rebbe
amazing.
zone.
We're already in the Rebbe zone, and it's great. And the Alter Rebbe said that Elul is a time where the king is in the field. That was the mashal he gave, that all throughout the year the king resides inside of his chambers and inside his court. And if you want audience with the king, you have to go through the echelons and through the different layers of royal court, politics. Yeah. And in Elul, he's in the fields, he's accessible.
He's in the camping grounds.
So no, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, because it clicked for me. Because in the field, what does it mean? Accessible, what does it mean? And I noticed that when we go to these camping trips, everybody's just there. You want to have a conversation with
No social media, you're just there.
You're right there. You could converse with 30 people at a time. You can make a kumzit together. We're all accessible right there. So God, not to say that he's never unaccessible. God's always accessible. Always. We daven 3 times a day to him. You could open up channels besides that. God is always accessible. But during Elul, he's coming to you. Imagine like you have a big CEO boss, and you could always talk to him if you need to. You could go ask the secretary, go to his room, you could get to him. But imagine he's walking around on the floor. And he could give you any bit of advice. You're like, oh, by the way, what about this thing? And you'd never ask him. You'd never go to his office to ask him. But he's here, so it's like, hey, what about the thing? And he'll help you, and he'll do it. Yeah, and do that. And that's king in the field. He's right here. And I've been putting it into practice, because like anything you want to ask for about law of attraction, anything you want to ask for, he's here, he's down. And it's no coincidence. What happens in the spiritual world happens in the physical world. And the fact that it's Elul and the king is in the field, that's why this summer vibe and this whole openness and everybody giving and taking and smiling. Also, the king in the field, he comes with panim seichakais. He comes with a smile. He's laughing at people. And this was actually a tip a friend of mine said. If you want to tap into that energy, so a physical action you can do right away is to emulate God, smile. You smile at people, they smile back at you, and you're already tapped into that energy, because we're b'tselem elikim. I'm seeing God smile at me when somebody does. So that's
pressure's on.
It's easy.
It's easy. You're representing God when you smile. When you smirk, you're representing God.
Absolutely, because they say this is another Pirkei Avos. This is from the Razut Magid, where he said da ma l'mayla mimach. Know what's above you. There's God. He's above you, right? But he says no. Da ma l'mayla. Know what's above you. Mimach comes from you. Whatever you do is mirror energy that comes back at you. So if you smile, then the smiles will fall on you. So God is already smiling. We don't even have to.
And if you wear colored tzitzis and tie-dyed tzitzis,
you're more prone to smile. Yeah. So that's how we lead into Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is so empowering because we ask God to be our king. God isn't our king without a people, and he's waiting for us to choose him. And it's a relationship. It's a dynamic. It's not an autocratic. It's not a monarchy. Yeah, it is one. He's a king, but it's more in a relationship that he's waiting for us to say, God, I want you in my life. I want you in my life, and I want you to show me the way. This is your masterpiece, and you know the cheat codes, how to get through it, and I want you to show me the way. And
you know, it's funny. In Chabad town, Chabadville, we hear these Hasidic stories over and over again. And sometimes a lot of us wonder, like, oh, I've heard this story. It's so boring. Like, I know what happens. I know the ending. But I think what I learned from you, Alter, being here, is the way you tell a Hasidic story with your own neshama, with your own self-expression, it comes to life, and it means so much differently when you tell this story about King in the Field versus someone else. And the way you gave over that vort, it was Alter giving over that vort. And it was, your self-acceptance, your unconditional love. And, it's just interesting to us about how Torah, it's the same laws. It's just us. It's our vibes that we bring to it.
Absolutely, so which is what we were discussing earlier about finding God within Judaism. Trying to bring that back.
And it comes back to Rosh Hashanah. We're choosing to make him a king. It's up to us to make that decision. And I think that we're talking about intimacy as singles. Intimacy really starts with our relationship with God. Would you say?
I think it starts with the relationship with yourself.
Okay, yeah.
But that goes part and parcel with God, because and this is in Pirkei Avos, so you can look this up. But the higher perception of us that we hope to become, that higher perception that we hope to achieve, that man that we see for ourselves, that is our higher calling, and that is our God. And in Pirkei Avos it says, there will be a time where you will notice, and you will look in the mirror, and you will see your life, you will recognize that you are God. I'll have to find that Pirkei Avos. We'll quote it. We'll give people the link.
You're not a God. Don't tell guys they're gods, please.
Yeah, that's why I want it quoted. That's why I want you to see the Pirkei Avos' I want you to see their words.
Just know your place, but know you have a godliness spark within you.
So there's ways of
Let's
playing
play it
this.
safe,
We're gonna play it safe, right? I'm gonna play it safe till I get the quote up there. But I'll show it. I'll bring it to the website, whatever this is, the podcast.
Whatever it is, yeah.
So you start with yourself. You build a dignity. You build a commitment and an integrity. That I'm in charge of my life. In the modern
age, I think religion offers a sense of commitment.
Yes.
And that commitment is responsibility that you were talking about, and it leads up to intimacy with a partner, or marriage, or family lifestyle.
Correct.
We're so amazed by the Hasidim who have so many kids, or any family who has so many. It's because it's not because, but religion, having certain values to shape your future really does help people.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alter, for coming.
Baksha.
Guys, follow him. Contact him if you want to get involved in any of his projects. As you see, he's a friendly soul. He'll put you on your way. And that's it. Shana Tova, and let's hear one last song to take us out.